everybody. Happy Friday and welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Sinead DeFries, and this is The Daily Show, where we bring you the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Joining us this morning is AMC production manager, Dennis Zen.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of AMC Movie Talk. Thanks for joining us. As you can see, we have a special guest gracing us with his presence on a Friday edition.
I've always wanted to be on this show.
Yes, also here is editor-in-chief for AMC, John Campea.
All right, me again. Yes! I get so weird sitting in a different chair. This is pretty cool, though. I like it.
And AMC's Mark Ellis.
I'm so happy Campea came in to talk about what we all want to talk about, Peter Pan Live.
And also writer-director John Schnepp.
So sweaty he couldn't take his day off. He had to tell you his opinion, John Campea.
After many reports, rumors, and speculation, Marvel Studios has officially cast Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige released this statement along with the announcement. Stephen Strange's story requires an actor capable of great depth and sincerity. In 2016, Benedict will show audiences what makes Doctor Strange such a unique and compelling character. Doctor Strange will be directed by Scott Derrickson and is set to hit theaters November 4th, 2016. Dennis, what do you make of the Doctor Strange casting announcement and Feige's comments?
Finally, I'm so happy. I mean, I'm glad it's Benedict Cumberbatch. He was like my #1 pick, but I'm just glad it's over. I mean, I don't remember a casting thing dragging as long as this one. I mean, first it was going to be Benedict, then it wasn't. Then it was going to be Joaquin, then it wasn't. And maybe it was going to be Ethan Hawke. Maybe even Keanu Reeves at one point. And I was like, wow. So finally they did it. I love Benedict Cumberbatch. He plays eccentric very, very well. If you've seen Sherlock at all, I think it's a great fit. John, what do you think?
I love it. I love it. And you know what? It's funny because you mentioned all those. Remember, Tom Hardy's name was in there a little bit too. All of those names are names that I sat back and went, whether it was Keanu Reeves or Handsome Hawk or whoever else, you could sit back and go, yeah, I could totally see that dude as Doctor, and I can see that dude. It was getting into a situation of a no-lose situation. This has been dragging out for a while, mostly because we heard about it a long time ago. I'm sure there's other castings that go a lot longer, but just we never hear about them. And I was starting to doubt it because I remember at the Marvel event, Kevin Feige got on stage and somebody specifically asked him, he goes, are you guys ready to confirm that Benedict Cumberbatch is going to be a thing? And he said, no, we're not confirming that. So it's like, oh, well, maybe there's a little bit of doubt. This is a great choice. Was he my #1 choice? Not my #1. But he definitely fell into that bucket that you could have pulled any monkey out of the barrel and said, anybody out of this particular barrel would be a great choice. He's definitely one of them, so I'm excited about it.
Schnepp.
Yeah, wasn't Jared Leto also like in content? You know,
he was one of the names
one of the
floated.
swirling names.
He was in the bucket. He was in the monkey bucket.
He was in the bucket. Yeah.
You know, I'll say once Benedict's name came up, like I wasn't really thinking about who's going to play Doctor Strange, but once his name came up, I was like, man, I hope they get him because I had seen the play Frankenstein where he played both the monster and the doctor. And the version I saw, he was playing the doctor. You know, I know he was Dr. Frankenstein. He was incredible, and we've seen him in all these other films. He just has a great presence. And to play Doctor Strange and to be able to pull off saying the hoary host of Hoggoth and, you know, by the swirling symbols of Scrimscambulin or whatever, any of those crazy things, and to cast spells and open up weird portals, other dimensions, you need an actor who you believe can do that. And I think he's one of those few. I mean, Joaquin Phoenix, I think you would believe he could open up portals to other dimensions, but I think Benedict will do it a little more smoothly, so I'm really happy with that casting.
Mark?
Well, Keanu Reeves did open a portal to another dimension, but he needed the help of a phone booth. So I think. Look, I love debating stuff with you guys and analyzing things. Sometimes in life, answers are just that easy, and I think this is the best choice to play Doctor Strange. I think Marvel knew it for a while. I think Benedict Cumberbatch knew it for a while. I think they wanted to hold off until he could get his performance as Alan Turing out and into the world and get the Oscar buzz on that without anything else of his future clouding that. So once that kind of came out and everybody saw, again, another character that has a lot of eccentricities to it, he's going to be a great Doctor Strange.
Yeah, this is an announcement they could have put off until early 2015. They could have. But I think you bring up an excellent point. I think Marvel wants to capitalize on the Oscar buzz that Cumberbatch is going to get for The Imitation Game, right? Because he's going to get a nomination for Best Actor for this. It's just the way it is. And so for Marvel to announce now, to make sure it's out there and established by the time Oscar buzz starts, and now you got Oscar nominee associated with the film, this was a really good move on their part.
And didn't earlier this year he was close to signing that deal? Because I remember there at one point, and then they went to him. He's like, no, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, apparently, from what I understand, and look, we have no insider information. Just from what I understand, there was a bit of back and forth. This wasn't an automatic lock. As soon as Marvel thought of him and he thought, yes, I want to do it, and it was just a marriage made in heaven. Apparently, there was some back and forth on this, from what I understand. But obviously, everybody said, Cumberbatch at some point went, wait, this will be the most popular movie I ever do in my life. Maybe I should sign up for this.
Fine, I'll wear the cape to the Oscars. Okay.
That would be awesome.
All right, what's next?
Another big announcement in the world of comic book movies was also released yesterday. This one involving Fox's X-Men spin-off movie, Deadpool. It had been announced a couple months ago that the movie itself was happening. However, it was unsure whether or not actor Ryan Reynolds, who played the character in X-Men Origins Wolverine, would be reprising the role. According to Deadline, Reynolds is close to making a deal with Fox, and the actor himself tweeted this pic yesterday. John, what are your thoughts on Ryan Reynolds coming back to play Deadpool?
Remember I was talking earlier about there's a certain barrel where if you pick any monkey out of that particular barrel, this was the guy that I wanted in this, and he is perfect for this. I thought he was great as Deadpool in that Wolverine movie up until they neutered him being Deadpool, until they completely remade him into something that none of us recognized. This is a character that is a perfect it's not just that Reynolds is a good fit for Deadpool. Deadpool is a great fit for Ryan Reynolds. The running mouth, the quick thing, his comedic timing with the quick barbs and the quick lines and everything like that, he's excellent for this. It's also just karma-wise, this is good. This is the guy who's been the champion for trying to get a Deadpool standalone made. He's been fighting for this for years. He's the guy who believes in this character. We've already seen him do great at it. He's going to be even better at it. We all like the test footage we saw. And I love that tweet he put out with a million bullets on his face and saying, you missed. Perfect. It was just a great announcement. And look, I still run into these people, these totally clueless people, who are like, Ryan Reynolds can't act. Name 5 movies of Ryan Reynolds you've seen. It usually stops at Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Of which he was not the problem.
Right.
This isn't look, he doesn't have an Academy Award nomination yet. He should have got one for Buried. I think he could have got one for, that comedy he did with Elizabeth Banks. Strange something, whatever. Anyway, where he plays the father and his daughter is trying to guess which one of these 3 love stories is actually her mom.
Definitely, maybe.
Definitely,
Yes.
thank you very much.
I hate that I know that movie that well, but yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah,
Right
because
at the tip of your head.
and he was brilliant in that. And I think as Deadpool, this is a knocked out of the. I am even more excited about this casting than I am about Cumberbatch playing Doctor Strange. That's how excited I am about it.
Mark?
I don't usually feel bad for really good-looking famous people, but I feel terrible for Taylor Kitsch right now. I mean, come on, he was great as Gambit in that movie too, and he can't reprise his role in an upcoming film, but they let Ryan Reynolds do it. However, I have to agree with Camp. I mean, this is a no-brainer. This guy, he was so good as Deadpool. The first 10 minutes of Wolverine Origins were some of the best 10 minutes in the history of X-Men films, okay?
Right.
And so putting this guy in his own movie, this could be the start of like a Ben Affleck, Matthew McConaughey resurgence for Ryan Reynolds, the actor, because he's taken his lumps with Green Lantern and having some stuff since then, and now he could be back. This could propel him back into the A-list.
What was that one he did with Jeff Bridges last year? It was just awful. Where the ghosts they were
R.I.P.D.
R.I.P.D.
Why do I know all these bad Ryan Reynolds
Rip.
movies?
Yeah, and
never
they
even saw
released it like during Comic-Con. They were just like trying to hide it.
Yeah.
It was the only movie to be released Sunday morning. Is when it came out.
Schnepp, your thoughts?
Special one-day screening. Yeah, you know what? I'm really happy they went with him. X-Men Origins was definitely one of the more disappointing X-Men movies, and I blame it mainly on the producers. They're the reason they sewed up Deadpool's mouth. They didn't understand the character. They're like, why does that one guy keep talking? I'm tired of him. Just sew his mouth up. It was actually a producer note, to make him be quiet. So it's like, that's why it's great that he's going to get a chance to redeem not only the Deadpool character, but himself in these superhero movies. I think that's why he's fighting for it. He's like, look, I could rock this. Let me do it,
I still remember that. I remember sitting in the theater in that Wolverine film, and when he comes out and his mouth is shown, I'm like, wait, this is the Merc with a mouth!
I know.
And you're sewing his mouth!
Ridiculously
What?
beyond stupid. It's horrifying.
Yeah, it was an abomination. And another thing, too, you have, with Deadpool, one of the coolest costumes in comic books, and you don't even use use it. I don't know what that thing
Striated,
was.
weird,
Exactly.
insanity is
Yeah,
what
but
X-Men Origins is.
That
It's like-
test footage was awesome. The
Yeah.
animated
Yes.
with Ryan Reynolds' actual voice. So I thought it's a great fit.
I mean, I think Blade Trinity is really him and doing
I
his,
was going to
Deadpool,
say,
his
as
Deadpool
Hannibal King.
tryout. Yeah, his
character
tryout.
Hannibal
yeah.
King. Yeah, it was like, if you watch that, there's segments of that movie. That, by the way, Blade Trinity is so bad.
But he's awesome in it.
But he is really good in it as this character named Hannibal King. And if you really watch segments of it, you would think you're exactly right. There's a perfect analogy. It feels like his test footage for Deadpool in a lot of
Yeah,
ways.
him and Beale stole that movie. That's why Snipes was so bitter about the third Blade. He's like, I'm barely in it. No, you just got outshined. That's all. I was like, Goyer put that extra love on the other characters because they were fighting.
They were trying to set up spin-offs.
Yeah.
What were they called? The Night Stalkers or
Night
the
Force
Night
or yeah,
Night something or other. I
Just
can't-
Friends. That was the name. That was it.
Is that the one Amy Smart?
Yeah, he wears the fat suit half the
Yeah.
time. And
By the way, I love that movie.
It's
I
great.
think
Yeah,
that movie's hilarious.
That is a good movie.
Ryan Reynolds is great, everybody.
How do you know all these Ryan Reynolds movies?
I saw the
Van
proposal 9
Wilder.
times.
Van
And I
Wilder.
love
Waiting.
Proposal.
Yeah.
You ever seen that one?
Yeah, Waiting
That's a
is
really
so-
funny one.
How about two guys, a girl, and a pizza place?
Nathan Fillion's in that.
Yes, he is.
All right, guys. Now it's on to our buy or sell portion of the show. Sinead, what do we got?
According to The Hollywood Reporter, Pan screenwriter Jason Fuchs is in talks to write the upcoming DC Cinematic Universe movie Wonder Woman. The Warner Brothers film is being directed by Michelle McLaren and stars Gal Gadot as the iconic female superhero character Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman comes to theaters in 2017. Jeanette, buy or sell Jason Fuchs writing the Wonder Woman movie?
I'm going to tentatively buy it. I don't really know anything. I looked him up on IMDb because I was like, all right, I haven't seen Pan because that hasn't come out yet.
Right.
So I looked him up and he's like done some TV movie called Big Thunder and then some other thing called Pinch or Pitch. I can't remember. Nothing I know of. So, and I know he was an actor.
You're forgetting Ice Age 4, Continental Drift. Let's not forget that one.
So you know what? I'm just, like I said, I'm going to tentatively buy it. I'm not going to be like, this guy sucks. I have no idea. Maybe he did an amazing pitch. He was like, look, I've got this in the bag. Did his outline, blew everyone at DC and Warner Brothers away. And they were like, you're hired. That's my guess. They can only be my guess because he has so few credits on his roster that he had to just be pitched hard. Like all these people were like gunning for that job, and he came in and blew him out of the park.
I'm going to tentatively sell it, kind of for the same reasons. And nothing against him, but if you look at his IMDb, his acting credits are longer than his writing credits.
And almost as successful.
Yeah, and we haven't seen Pan yet, and I think that's the big thing. Like, maybe if we watch Pan, it comes out and we're like, oh man, that's such witty dialogue and the story's great. Maybe we're like, okay, he's perfect. But for right now, I thought maybe they could have gotten someone a little with a bigger name and a bigger history. Mark?
Yeah, I'm just going to be an optimist here. Like what Schnepp said, it's a tentative buy for me because he must have done something to somebody to impress them enough. Because when you look up his credits, nothing leaps off the page. So he must have done something in the room or said something. I don't think he knows anybody. I don't think he has any connections to get a gig like this. And what's everybody been saying about Wonder Woman is that it's got a female director and it needs that female-centric perspective. And they hired a male to write it. So something happened where he impressed them enough to make them believe in him. So it's a very tentative buy for me.
I have to tentatively buy it as well. Look, don't forget that a lot of these screenwriters in Hollywood, man, these LA screenwriters, for every one that they get picked up to write, they've written about 20 others. And you could write a great script, but a studio may look at it and go, man, this story, this writing is awesome, but I don't think we can make this work as a film for whatever reason. So for all we know, I'm not basing this on anything. For all we know, there are a lot of studios, Warner Brothers could have had their eye on this guy for a while, saying he's done quality work, whatever. Obviously, I did not like Ice Age 4 Continental Drift, but that's a fourth film in a family franchise that's just a money generator, so they could have handed him all the notes and say, just write some dialogue around this and go.
That sounds like Transformers 4.
It sounds like, yeah. I wrote Transformers 4, as a matter of fact. With this, it's hard to say because we haven't seen Pan. I think Pan looks great, but we have no sense about how good the screenplay is by watching a trailer. But I'm hearing decent things about it. The studio seems confident in it. So, and it's in the hands of the right director. And if it's in the hands of the right director and she's going to work with them, then as tentatively as you guys, I'll also give it a buy.
All right, what's next?
After several years of development, New Line Cinema's feature film version of Stephen King's classic horror novel It will finally start shooting next summer with True Detective director Cary Fukunaga at the helm. In an interview with Vulture, producer Dan Lin stated not only that they were beginning prep in March for a summer shoot, but that the film would be split into 2 movies, though Fukunaga still hasn't officially signed on for the second film yet. Mark, buy or sell this feature film version of It?
Well, I'm kind of pinned into a corner here because I'm sitting next to a very tall gentleman wearing it on his shirt. But I would have bought this anyway. I mean, look at that thing. I would have bought this anyway because I really liked, I actually read this book. If you can believe it, I actually read the novel, and I liked what they tried to do with the 2-part film that came out in the early 90s. The best part about that was the story of the kids. Then when they actually got into the horror element, it didn't really pay off as much for me. So I think if they can correct that flaw, I'm totally in to see this.
Snap.
Yeah, especially with the True Detective director. I mean, I think he did an incredible job directing all
really
8 of
did.
those episodes. He basically made one giant amazing film. So if they're going to split it into 2 parts, he's the guy to do it because he's used to making like baby mini movies that are like 50 minutes. So like, here, make 2 real movies that are, 90 minutes each. So I'd prefer it to be one movie myself. I think they could do it. I think they could crush it down a little bit and not make 2 movies, but if they have to, it'd be great. And yes, I don't know if they can get Tim Curry back, but they should.
John?
I gotta sell this for now. Like, don't get me wrong. I love that they're bringing it. I think this is a great story, but I think they're making a mistake. If what the interview was said in the interview is true, if they are planning it now as splitting it up into 2 different films and doing it that way, I think that's a mistake at this point. I think from a business point of view, you got to sit back and wait a minute. Let's see if the first one's any good, number one, and number 2, let's see if the audience responds to it. If not, then you're already planning 2 films. So what's the worst that can happen here? You make one film that totally feels unsatisfying on its own because you made it as a first-parter, and you never follow it up because nobody went to go see it the first time around. I just think they should have knocked it out as a 2-hour, 20-minute one film, or no, that's it. I think they should have done it as one film right now. But I hope it's good because I like the idea that it's coming.
I'm going to buy it for Cary Fukunaga, who directed True Detective, which was amazing, and he did a great job with that. I am a little curious of why this was his next choice, from True Detective to It. I guess maybe he likes to do a lot of different things, because I think before True Detective he did Jane Eyre.
Yes.
Which is interesting.
I interviewed him for that,
Oh,
actually.
really?
Yeah, and I always thought, well, that's a weird thing. The Jane Eyre guy's doing this True Detective thing, and now it's True Detective.
My one
doing it.
complaint about Jane Eyre, not enough killer clowns. So.
And then I'm also wondering, why he isn't doing the second one. Like, we've seen these like Mockingjay Part 1, Part 2, right? Harry Potter Part 1, Part 2, Twilight Part 1, Part 2, all the same directors. So if he's not officially signed on for the second one, I find that to be a little
That is
strange.
I think
It's
probably
odd.
my guess is what happened is he signed on to do the movie It, and then they decided to split it into 2, and his contract
probably
is
right.
like, look, hey, I'm not signed on, so we can't technically say that until we renegotiate. So they haven't even shot it yet, the first one. So
Yeah. Good
it'll
point.
probably get worked out.
All right. Just a reminder before we get into Mailbag that we'll be taking live viewer questions at the end of the show. You can tweet us at AMC Movie News. But let's get into the Mailbag. Sinead, what do we got?
Jacob Barajas writes, Hey MC, love the show. My question concerns the Best Picture race. Now that Unbroken has proven unfavorable by critics, what do you think the odds are for Top 5 to get a Best Picture nomination? The film has proven to be a true critical hit and shows the beginning of a new era of Chris Rock's career.
I saw Top 5 a few days ago. I thought it was hilarious. I think it's Chris Rock's best movie, and it's more akin to his stand-up than the other kind of safe movies that he's done. But there's no way in hell this is going to get nominated for an Oscar picture. I mean, the Oscars don't nominate usually straight-up comedies. They usually do maybe drama with comedy in it. And then second, this movie is R-rated for a reason. If you guys see it, or when you guys see it, like it's a hard R for a comedy. It's almost like if they nominated, I don't know, like 40-Year-Old Virgin or Neighbors or something like that as Oscar. Mark, what about you?
I mean, nobody would be more excited than me to see Top 5 get nominated for Best Picture. And now that there's 10 movies you can nominate, it's got a better chance. I'm not going to, say Unbroken's not getting nominated either. Like, some critics have responded not favorably to it early, but it's still very early. The movie doesn't come out until Christmas officially. So with Top 5, I don't know that it's got enough to get into that race. It might have left unbroken, but there's a lot of good movies coming out. So I don't think top 5 is going to be able to crack the top 10 of movies that's going to be nominated, but it was a terrific effort, and I think it's going to make that push. And there were dramatic elements in top 5.
There was.
More so than 40-Year-Old Virgin or Neighbors or something like that. So it's got a good chance. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, but can you see, I don't want to spoil anything, but can you see a movie that had that scene with Cedric the Entertainer being nominated for an Oscar?
If they approve of comedy, I mean, comedy's not easy to do either, but no. I think it's very tough to pull that scene off and get nominated.
Yeah. Schnepp?
Yeah, I haven't seen the film yet, but the Oscars, they just don't nominate comedies. It's very rare. I think Chaplin got nominated. I think, Woody Allen might have gotten nominated. Who won? Do you guys remember the last comedy that won an Oscar?
That won Best Picture Oscar? Yeah. I remember Tootsie came close.
I think
that's about
didn't
the
Young
closest.
Frankenstein?
I can't remember.
Blazing Saddles won it. I think
Something like
Mel
that,
Brooks won it for something. Anyway, I think the question probably stems more from Chris Rock's recent political statements on Ferguson and certain things that incredibly intelligent and some of the smartest political stuff I've read from anybody recently about all these problems that we're having right now. I don't know. I don't think the comedy, his movie, covers anything like that. So it's not. I don't know if it's a misinterpretation of what the movie's about. That's my question to the question.
Yeah, for me, it's not a knock on the movie. I think it's a fantastic movie. It's just they just don't nominate those movies. What do you think?
I finally got around to seeing it. I've been so looking forward to this. I think Chris Rock, I'm glad you brought that up. Chris Rock is so deceptively intelligent. Mm-hmm. He is like one of the smarter guys in this business.
Yeah.
He understands the landscape. He's one of the also most level-headed guys. He hides it. He doesn't want to have this image of being a really level-head intellect, blah, blah, blah. He hides it behind something else, which almost makes it more effective. Like he's scary smart. This is a really good movie, I agree. By far, not just as a filmmaker, because it's the first movie I think he's directed, but as an actor, this is his best movie. Clearly, it's really funny, it's really great, and I'm going to say it won't get nominated for Best Picture because it doesn't deserve to get nominated for Best Picture. It's really super funny, it's great, and maybe it's true that the Academy doesn't nominate comedies and blah, 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 but all that aside, I still wouldn't put it. It's not Still Alice. It's not Foxcatcher. It's not as good as Imitation Game. It's not as good as Gone Girl. It's not as good as... There's just too many really masterpiece level types of films this year that I think, look, before it's all said and done, if Chris Rock keeps directing, you're going to see one of his films nominated for Best Picture at some point. This one isn't it, but it's damn good and it's really fun to watch. You should go see it. And just because it's not going to get nominated for Best Picture is not a knock against the film. It's great, but I don't think it's on that level yet.
All right, what's next?
Varun writes, hello AMC Movie News, very engaging show and love it. What is your one movie that you think was turned into extraordinary from a good film by the performance of the actors or the actor and actors? Do you think that it's possible, or is any good movie bound to have great acting?
John?
The one for me, two really stand out to me. One is the aforementioned Buried with Ryan Reynolds. I mean, the whole movie is just one guy in a box. The movie, the camera never leaves the box. He's always buried in a box for an hour and a half long. That's obviously carried. But another one that's of a very good movie that then gets elevated to another level because of the performance is There Will Be Blood with Daniel Day-Lewis. That movie is what it is because Daniel Day-Lewis is Plainview, and it ain't just the milkshake line. It's every word he breathes, he just brings you into that film and just glues you to the screen. And there are many, many great examples throughout the history of Hollywood, but those are the two for me that really stand out right now.
For me, this doesn't elevate the movie itself into an extraordinary or even great film. I still think Lincoln is a good movie, but on the same Daniel Day-Lewis tip, like it's like they invented a time machine, traveled back in time, grabbed Lincoln, brought him back and say, hey, you're going to act in a movie about yourself, and that's what they filmed. So, and then also, there's another movie that's not a good movie that had great performance is Sean Penn in I Am Sam. I thought it was a great performance.
Yeah.
I did not like the movie, though. So, Schnepp, can you think of any?
You know what? The most recent one just came to mind was The Theory of Everything. I went and saw that, and if you strip away the two main leads, it's kind of like a Lifetime or ABC family film. The way it's told, it's very much like conventional storytelling, but those two actors are so incredible. Unfortunately, I can't remember either of their names.
Redmayne and
Eddie Redmayne and Felicity
Jones.
Yeah.
He won't want to say Felicity Day. Miss Jones.
Both of them, Felicity Jones and Eddie Redmayne, were incredible, and they just elevated the movie to almost bringing me to tears by the end of it. Just the story of Stephen Hawking and his wife and everything that happened. You know, it's incredible. And I really believe that since they're the two main focuses of the film, everything, the story, the way it was written is a little conventional. Like, you'll see it if you see it. I mean, but I think they should both be nominated because of their incredible performances.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's two great performances in a good movie,
Yes.
but not a great movie.
See, I'd say that about The Imitation Game. I thought Benedict Cumberbatch was Oscar-worthy, and I thought the movie wasn't. I also think that way about a couple years ago, The Master, when you had Philip Seymour Hoffman and
Joaquin
alternate universe Doctor Strange, and they were so great in a good movie. But it's hard to think of a bad movie that has a great performance in it. Though I will say the first thing that came to mind when I read that question, Water for Elephants with Robert Pattinson and Reese Witherspoon, it is bookended by Hal Holbrook playing old Robert Pattinson, and it made me weep at the beginning and at the end. It is so good just for that.
All right, what's next?
Alrighty. Carter Bagley writes, Dear AMC Movie News, I was wondering what are some of your favorite directorial debuts out of movies like Reservoir Dogs, Mean Streets 7, Memento, American Graffiti, or any others that you can think of. Anyway, thanks and keep bringing the filth.
One of mine is one that you mentioned, which is Reservoir Dogs, Tarantino. Another one is Duncan Jones' Moon, which is one of my favorite sci-fi movies.
Nicely done.
Ryan Johnson's Brick. I really like that.
Yeah.
But I have to be a stickler. I don't want to be one, but most of the ones you mentioned weren't the directorial debut of the artists. Let's see here. Mean Streets, Scorsese's debut was actually Boxcar Bertha. Fincher's debut was Alien 3, not 7. And George Lucas's was THX 1138, not American Graffiti.
1137.
Was it 1137?
That was 1138.
That's 138?
That's a cell block that Princess Leia
1138.
lives in, yeah.
And then Nolan's first movie was The Following, not Memento.
Bam! You just schooled that
Wow.
dude.
Take it easy, Dennis.
Ah.
Oh, what about you guys? Schnepp?
Yeah, you know what? I went and just checked out a bunch of first-time directors, and one of my favorites is David Lynch's Eraserhead, because it informs all the rest of his entire filmmaking career. That one movie, you just see elements that just dropped into Twin Peaks, that dropped into Blue Velvet, all these different films, even Dune. Another one to go even further back is watch Citizen Kane, Orson Welles. I mean, everyone always says, you should watch this movie for film school stuff. It's also just an incredible, awesome movie to watch. So, and that was his first film. So,
John?
The Following wasn't a theatrical release, though, was it?
I'm not too sure.
So that's why I would still kind of count Memento. So I'm going to get, my answer is Memento.
Okay.
I love Memento. I think that movie's incredible, and I think it gave us a peek into what we were about to get from Christopher Nolan. And I think all these guys, before their directorial debuts, they directed other things, but not necessarily wide release feature films. So I'm going to count that on my list. But a lot of the names that you brought up there too. Brick was a great example of that.
Mark?
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't count this because of Duel, so Jaws ain't getting credit. But George A. Romero's first film was Night of the Living Dead, and Rob Reiner's first film was This Is Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
So those are my.
Was that Reiner's first?
Meathead's first film.
That's right. Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah. It's easy to make it's not easy, but you can make a comedy to get some laughs, but to make an all-time great comedy like This Is Spinal Tap with that music in it as well, fantastic achievement.
Always rewatchable.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for Mailbag. Now on to our live questions. Remember, you can tweet us at AMC Movie News, and we'll answer a few now. Sinead, what do we got?
Tomer says, Batman vs. Superman finished their shooting. Do you think the film is going to be released earlier?
No, I think, well, first of all, I don't know why I'm answering first, because it's just reflex. It's happened. So I might as well just keep going. Sorry about that. No, I mean, they finished shooting. They always knew this was when they were going to finish. They have a schedule. They knew exactly when they would finish shooting, and they still plan to release it in 2016. I go back to that conversation me and Schnepp had, or me and Dennis had too. Fingers crossed that Warner Brothers is getting ready to pull the biggest prank on us ever, and then drop 1 month in advance, say, oh, by the way, it's coming in February! And they drop it in February instead of 2016, but I don't think it's going to happen, no.
I don't think so either, just because, they have that set date. Plus, there's still a lot of post-production to be done. I mean, a lot of these big-budget movies, the effects that need to be done take a long, long time. And they can always, those things are never, it's kind of the same thing they say about editing. They're never really finished. They just have to leave it as it is when the time runs out. What about you guys?
I was gonna say, isn't it upsetting that they announced James Bond's Spectre I think it was yesterday, and that it's coming out before Batman v Superman? They haven't even written
They
it.
haven't even started
They haven't
shooting
started
James Bond
shooting
yet.
it, and it's gonna be coming out in December of 2015. And this movie just finished shooting, and it's not coming out till 2016. So yes, I am kind of I want to speculate with the question and say, wouldn't it be amazing if they kept the date of 2016 and just said, yeah, we're keeping that date. That's just part 2. And they just split it into Dawn of Justice Part 1 and 2, and they rock the first part in this coming summer of 2015. Mind blown. That'd be insanity. People running around the streets with happiness. So.
This is the equivalent of snooping around your house for presents for Christmas, and you find a box and your parents say, oh, you're not going to open that one until next year. Oh, you're like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So I think this is going to come out online next week, and I think you'll still see it in theaters at its original release date, March 2016.
Oh, good thing it's not a Sony movie. 'Cause they leaked already. All right, what's next?
Dave asks, which is your favorite James Bond movie and who has been your favorite Bond?
Oh, that's tough. I mean, I haven't, you guys probably have watched a lot more Bond movies than I have, so I think Casino Royale is probably my favorite
With
one.
Daniel Craig?
With Daniel Craig.
I was going to say they had the Woody Allen one. I don't know if you're talking about that.
No. But then the one that kind of exemplifies the character for me is Pierce Brosnan. So I don't know, John?
I've said this for a long time. For the longest time, we've had these two representations of Bond, with Sean Connery and Roger Moore, right? And they each represented different aspects of Bond. You had the badass Bond, you had the pure, slick and suave Bond. The other one had a little bit of badass, the other one had a bit of suave, but they represented the two polar opposites. And you got Pierce Brosnan, who I felt fell more into line with the Roger Moore kind of Bond, and that's why he was so good at that. I still think Daniel Craig is the best Bond we've ever had. And I know that sounds very today-ish. You're just saying that because it's what's going on now. I've always felt that he is the perfect hybrid of the two representations of Bond. I think he is the perfect cross between Sean Connery and Roger Moore, and he brings both of those into one James Bond. And that's why, for me, he's my favorite one.
Mark?
To quote the comic book store guy from The Simpsons, that is a picture of Sean Connery autographed by Roger Moore. I think I like the Daniel Craig movies the best because I think they're such well-made films and they just feel modern, and that's my generation. However, I love Sean Connery. He's the original Bond. I think for what Bond is, I think Roger Moore is the best personification of that character of anybody that we've seen.
I'm going to go with George Lazenby from Her Majesty's
I
Secret
knew
Service.
you were going to say Lazenby.
I'm not going with Lazenby. I'm going with Sean Connery. I still love the original James Bond the best. And second runner-up is Daniel Craig. I think Daniel Craig is, to me, exemplifies what Bond is, just like Sean Connery. And that's not to say I didn't enjoy Roger Moore or Pierce Brosnan or Timothy Dalton or any of the other Bond movies, but I'll always watch Diamonds Are Forever. I'll go back to the Sean Connery Bonds. And now the Daniel Craig Bonds, I think, are great, except for Quantum of Solace.
Surprise, surprise, no one picked creepy Bond, Timothy Dalton.
I like Dalton. Come on.
You mean Killer Bond?
Yeah.
Yes, I still murder people in cold blood. Yeah.
All right, let's do one more.
All right, Paul asks, what do you think about the state of DreamWorks right now with Penguins of Madagascar and How to Train Your Dragon 2 bombing?
John?
This is a very interesting definition of the word bombing. How to Train Your Dragon 2. Like when you guys are, I'll look at the box office, but I'm pretty positive that movie made money. I don't know about I haven't looked up the Madagascar numbers yet, but I mean, it didn't come in #1 because you had Hunger Games out. That was totally expected. I'm more concerned about the quality of the Penguins of Madagascar because it's my job. I went to go to watch it, and it's not very good. I didn't think. It wasn't horrible, though. I didn't think it was terrible, but I didn't think it was all that great. DreamWorks right now is trailing. They're behind when it comes to like Pixar and stuff like that, putting out like just quality films on a consistent basis. But How to Train Your Dragon 2 is awesome. We talked about that the other day.
But isn't Despicable Me and Minions under DreamWorks as well?
I know they're Universal, but is that a part of their DreamWorks thing?
I think it might be.
I will also look that up. I'll look that up right now.
I'm not sure. I mean, I know How to Train Your Dragon 2 made a lot of money. It didn't open as strongly as some people had predicted, as the box office experts thought it might. So it had a disappointing opening weekend haul. But the movie itself, the quality was tremendous. And at least with Penguins of Madagascar, Madagascar is so boring. The penguins are the best part about it. And I like that Penguins movie. They're adorable. They're cute. Now they're spies. Come on. Spy penguins.
Okay, Despicable Me 2 is a Universal Pictures production animated by Illumination Entertainment.
Okay. All right, Schnepp?
I'm looking. I haven't seen Penguins yet, but I still laugh whenever I see the trailer. So I'm looking forward to seeing it in the next couple weeks. I'm gonna see it as a Christmas movie.
You're gonna want to buy a penguin, John.
I can't wait to adopt like 7 penguins.
Please don't, but you're gonna want to.
Yeah, I heard they're kind of difficult to hang out with, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I like you. I'm not a big Madagascar. So,
I saw it for the Penguins.
yeah, I'm checking this out when I see it for the Penguins.
Just as a side note, too, How to Train Your Dragon 2 made $618 million.
That's
worldwide.
nothing. What a box office bomb!
Chump change. What? How is the bomb so bad?
All right, guys, that's it for today's show. Thanks for joining us. I want to thank the people at the table with me. First, starting with to my left, John Campea. Where can people find you?
You can find me on all the various social media networks at John Campea and on this very YouTube channel for AMC Mailbag on Saturday and Sunday with me and Ashley. I was going to say Ashley Malone. Ashley Nova.
You created two. You took Ashley
I made
and
the
Alicia
perfect woman.
And to my right, Mark Ellis. Where can people find you?
At 5150 Ellis on Twitter and Instagram.
John Schnepp.
At Twitter, Instagram, at John Schnepp, and at TDOSLWH. And go to Netflix and check me out in Turbo, episode 26. You'll see me, an animated version of me. So.
And I want to thank Sinead. Where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Sinead DeFries and at thatsosinead.com.
And you can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero or on Instagram, Dennis.tzeng. I want to thank everyone for joining us today on this Friday, right before the weekend edition. Remember, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/AMC Theaters. And everyone have a great weekend.
Hey everyone, if you like this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC Movie Talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.